welcome back to this week's edition of Two Coaches, One Grizz. Today we're going to be looking at this weekend's big MMA card. We got a little college football preview. We're going to continue on with the ACC and begin our look at the AAC and begin our look at the ACC. But we're going to begin today, of course, with the NFL and Kyler Murray's contract. He just signed a $230 million extension with $105 million guaranteed. It can go up to $160 guaranteed based off of injury. But again, worth up to $230.5 million, just above the contract that Deshaun Watson signed with Cleveland just over a month ago. Coach, how we doing today? Grizz, how we doing today?
Well, it's great to be back again this week. Good to get two back-to-back weeks in a row.
Back-to-back.
Haven't been doing it in a while, so it's good. It's just surprising that they extended him, how they extended him. He's played well, but again, the second half of the season, as we talked about a couple weeks ago or last time we were here, they have tended to go off the deep end, have not finished the season well. And taking a look at the clause as far as him studying film and making sure that he is prepping for his opponents might be a reason why he hasn't been doing well, or they haven't been doing well as a team the second half of the season, because you get that second game against your division foe. Your division teams that you play are the ones that know you the best, and therefore get to know your offense, your defense. So not preparing the right way at that level really does destroy you as a quarterback. And there's been quite a few quarterbacks already that have gone down this path. I think that his athletic ability gets him out of a lot of trouble because he is a very good athlete. But at this stage of the game, the mental part becomes just as much important, if not more, than his athletic ability.
Grizz, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the coach there, especially you said he needs to, in the contract, he needs to watch some more film. Gotta love when you have to put that in contract. Should be something that is second nature to a quarterback. What a great day it is, to get paid that kind of money and you're still kind of wondering if he's there. And that's the market. That's the world we live in. Remember the year before he was drafted, they drafted a quarterback, Rosen, number 10. Then the very next year, they said, hey, this guy's our number one pick. Quarterbacks don't grow on trees. And when you got one that's kind of good, they got to give him the money.
It also came with a change in coaches. Mm-hmm. And Kingsbury came in and Cliff's. Again, I think he fits perfectly into what Cliff wants to do and how he runs his offense.
Correct.
But if you don't study, if you don't prep.
Right, but if they don't win games, they say bye-bye to the coach. They keep the player, and then the next coach comes in, doesn't mesh with him. Listen, you got to sign the guy, unfortunately, because this is the day. Like I said, the market is what you get paid. Listening to other people I had been listening throughout the day, some people say maybe you should have signed them for a longer time, get them more years guarantee, because what's going to happen in 4 or 5 years? We're back out on the market. Now let's get that second big contract. I don't know. I still think he's a good player. He's had some amazing games. He's only been in the playoffs, one time, right? We're getting there, baby steps. The problem is that there's a lot of young talent. And not all the young talent makes it to the Super Bowl, the championship games, the middle rounds. There's so much. I think they're right way if they just have the second half, those little swan dives that's where
it's not a little swan dive though. Yeah. It's a big swan dive.
Yeah, it's a big swan dive. But if they keep having those kind of dives, then yeah, you're gonna keep the quarterback because he's talented enough, but that coaching combo won't be there because they're gonna be like, all right, later guy, next guy. So I don't know.
It's just insane to me that so let's parse this a little bit, right? The main point of this, so that his contract was signed with an independent study addendum on it, and the main clause of that addendum says players shall complete at least 4 hours of independent study as defined below per each week, excluding any bye week, during each playing season, as defined below, during the terms of the contract. The first thing that
it also limits his playing as far as video games.
Correct.
It's in there as well.
Correct.
So
yes.
go. Try to digest that. Let's digest that as well. We're clausing you into breaking down film, and we're also clausing you into, hey, you can't play so many video games. So
is this like a third grader or a professional quarterback?
If we were to look at every single point of it, that's another crazy point that's in this independent study addendum. Apparently, the dude's a huge gamer, right? And just throws his time.
That's where he watches his film playing Madden.
That's how he breaks down each team.
Of course.
Throws his duties and responsibilities as a starting quarterback of a major, of a National Football League franchise to the wayside because, hey, I gotta get those kills in, coach.
It's not just that. When he plays, he works on his hand-eye coordination, buddy.
Coach, he's got to get those kills in on Call of Duty.
Hand-eye coordination, kid.
You know how hard it is to play with those buttons, depending if it's PlayStation or Xbox? I'm saying that is mad little skills.
Peripheral vision to make sure he doesn't get shot from the side.
Here's my
where's
thing.
Josh at?
Here's my thing.
Listen, you know what the problem? Listen, they have a problem at the end of the season, but I see they start out home against the Chiefs, on the road against the Raiders, home against the Rams. It's gonna come quick. This ain't that 5-0, 6-0 start from last year. I think they were the last team that was undefeated last year.
Yeah,
they're gonna come out of the
first
gates.
10 games.
At one point,
they
were 9-1. I want to say, or 10-1.
I think they started 10-0, and then they lost to the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
And
I think it was like 8-0 or 9-0.
Listen,
Point is, there ain't gonna be any O's after week 5.
Here's my thing: is how low are your expectations for the franchise player of your team, right? Where you have to mandate a minimum of 4 hours of study time a day. Like, you're getting paid. This is your job,
but your
right?
expectations are not low. You have high expectations because you're paying them a passel of money, and the kid's a player.
But coach, 4 hours a week.
Minimum.
And my point is how low are those standards for your franchise player as a quarterback in the National Football League, where you have to mandate a minimum of 4 hours of independent study time? That's something that coach, like, this is your full-time job, right?
I'm going to tell you something right now.
That's 4 hours.
This is the new age.
I wish the Raiders would have mandated Jamarcus Russell to have studied at least 4 hours, because that guy, and he crapped out because he didn't do it either.
Here's the thing, though, man. You're getting paid $250 million.
That's my point.
I'm going to tell you what to do a little bit. Hey, watch some film at least.
But my
thing
is,
he needs to already have this in mind. I shouldn't have to.
Correct. This should be ingrained. This should be ingrained in your psyche.
This is a different world. These are the different. Hey, this is the new generation. Remember, this guy is.
And my point being is
born into video games.
As a starting quarterback. As a starting quarterback, how are you not doing 4 hours of independent study a day?
He's not the only one.
But you're mandating it a week.
But I'm going to tell you right now, he's not the only one.
There's backup running backs that do 4 hours of study a day.
It just happens to be that their investment is so large at this moment that they're going to mandate it. Just like I said, there's been quarterback. Heck, may he rest in peace, Haskins. That was one of the digs on Haskins, that he didn't study enough. He didn't prepare. There's been a bunch of quarterbacks over the last 10 years that have been top 5, top 10 draft choices, great talent, but they don't spend the time breaking down and getting ready. Maybe it's because they've been so used to being successful without it. They played high school ball, college ball. Every level they played at, they didn't need it.
So I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because that's a great point, right? Before, right? What was the norm when you drafted a quarterback that high? You're going to draft him this high. We're not going to force him in. He's going to sit for an entire year, learn the system, right? And then when he's ready, when he's groomed, we're going to put him in. Obviously, the league has gone away from that, partially because, well, A, we're investing this time. But at bottom line is we're trying to sell tickets. And two, these dudes are super uber athletes, right? And coaches' jobs
on the line. Right? They can't wait for the rebuild.
On average, you have 3 seasons, maybe less than that now. So
you're going to draft the rebuild for your next guy. No, they got to put him in now. I don't agree with it.
On the other side of that, with these new age quarterbacks that are coming out of colleges, when you look at the college systems, right? These spread systems. These spread systems are numbers and tagline based, right? You know, it's famous when for example, when Cam Newton came out and he went on the show with John Gruden, and John Gruden started breaking down, okay, draw up a play for me, right? And the play was called 12-32. And John Gruden was almost in awe because it's like, wait, but you know everything from that little tagline of numbers? And he's like, yeah, this is what the play is. In NFL systems, it's protection.
It's a paragraph.
Play. Motion.
It's a paragraph.
It's an entire paragraph. So you're taking these top round draft picks and going from, hey, we're running Seahawk to now you're running X, Y, waggle, zin.
Y drag, 77, X spot,
X2, Y banana.
3, exactly.
You know? And,
God bless you.
And this is the first time they've had to process that much information. And when you look at it, right, and they've gone over this ad nauseum multiple times over the years, the NFL, that little buzzer in your ear, that little microphone in your ear cuts off at 15 seconds. So you may get the first 3 words, and as a quarterback, you got to know what the rest of that sentence is to be able to be proficient at quarterback. So this is rough on several levels.
However, now, with that being said, let's remember now that this young man is with a coach that came from that system. Because Cliff Kingsbury came from Texas Tech, and so I'm sure that his NFL
and Coach
system.
Kyler Murray at Texas Tech before he transferred over to Oklahoma.
I'm sure. Well, no, I don't think he ever played at Texas Tech. He recruited him there. He recruited him. He never signed him. He never played. He recruited him.
Oklahoma.
Correct. He went to Oklahoma. He recruited him, and that's why he said, because he liked him, and he thought he would fit perfectly into his system. Go ahead and look it up.
Go continue.
As I was saying, remember, you got a college coach that speaks that kid's language. So therefore, I'm sure that to a certain extent, the offense is simple in that way in terminology and things like that. However, again, the defenses are not. His reads change.
Of course.
And as we said, the division games are the ticket. You got to win your division.
He looks great the first time, but the problem is you got to play him again, and these guys figure you out.
And those defensive guys figure you out, and they prepare, and they go for
Kyler
it.
Murray was a redshirt at Texas A&M under Kingsbury in 2015.
Texas A&M?
Yes, sir.
Or Texas Tech?
Texas A&M or Texas Tech?
It has to be Texas Tech because Kingsbury was never at Texas A&M.
Kingsbury was never an A&M.
Okay, so then he did recruit him, correct?
Exactly. That's what I said. He never signed him. He liked him, thought the kid was good, but he never played for him. Kid went to Oklahoma. Again, as I was saying, thank you.
Yeah,
The
we're
system the system that he's putting in is very college-based. So, of course, he's successful. His athleticism, successful. But he struggles the second time around. And as he continues in his NFL career, coaches are going to break him down. Coaches are going to do everything
No,
to stop him.
100%.
So,
But by the second time you play those games in the division, the book's out on you, right? You got to be able to have the wrinkles. You have to be able to understand what they may do against you. If you're not ever evolving, right, your success at a certain point is going to plateau. Again, this is a bad sign. I think we can all agree that there's a bad sign where you have to put this addendum in.
I'm not going to call it a bad sign. I'm going to call it a smart move.
You don't think that it's a bad sign for his future this is looming over his head?
He's still in a time where
What's
if you look at
looming
his
over
age,
his head, though, honestly?
if you look at his age, he's a young guy.
But what's looming over his head? That he doesn't watch film enough?
Well, the fact that this is kind of a validation of all the rumors that have been coming out of the Arizona camp, where he lacks in his natural leadership abilities.
No, it's just
where players have said that he is immature, that he's a selfish player, etc., and so on.
Again,
so this is a validation of that in a sense, correct?
When you grow up, right, and you touch the field at Pop Warner,
He's been the best.
You go
ever,
75.
probably. Yeah.
You go to college. You go to high school. And you touch the field, you go 80. Then you go to college, and you're going 70. You're throwing. You're all over. You go to the pros. You become very used to your own athletic ability.
Right.
You don't see a need or
this guy
waste.
could have played in the majors in
hero
baseball.
ball.
Now listen, that's what he's done.
Remember, major league baseball
Correct.
player he could have been. He's
Yes,
a very
the
athletic
Athletics.
guy.
If I'm not mistaken,
And
the Oakland Athletics drafted him.
Yeah, and
to play second base.
sometimes, unfortunately, like I said, sometimes these guys just think, I don't need it because I'm just gifted.
Now, what I think is, like I said, I think
Sometimes
it's a smart move. It's a smart move. It's a smart move.
It's just hey, buddy, we just need you. It's there. You just got to do it.
That's it.
I don't think it's like the end all. The guy,
No, I think
like
it
I
helps.
said,
On the contrary, he's young enough where it helps.
I don't think anybody's worth this kind of contract, but the market says so.
I think that this is a smart move, as you said, for the club.
Of course.
Because this is their way out of the guaranteed money. I'm talking on the player side. Yes, no, this is part of the stipulation for the guaranteed money.
Right.
If he does not complete
But he's
that
guaranteed
side,
money.
Imagine
no matter what.
now, and I heard this today, and I agree.
is guaranteed.
the amount, no, 105 is guaranteed. It can go up to 160 based off of his
I
completion
heard
of
this
this
today,
addendum.
and I agree. Now, the guy's been balling without studying film. The guy really studies film. Can you imagine what he can get to?
That.
And that's when that's where your 5-year situation comes in, where the sky's the limit at that time.
Look, it even said Murray will receive, in quotations, credit for completing his film studying according to the contract. However, the addendum states at the time that Murray spends in mandatory meetings studying does not count. And Murray will also not receive credit if he does not personally study the provided material in good faith.
If he doesn't want to get an extra $55 million to watch a few more hours of film study, it's on him.
If he doesn't want to get,
and that's what
at
I'm
the end
saying.
of the day,
Like,
if you don't want to get championships, if you don't, that's up to
I think the kid's bright enough, and I just think he's been balling. At the end of the day, technically, he's been balling. For a kid that young, he's doing things that first couple of years a lot of quarterbacks have never done. I think, he just needs more improvement. It's just, this is what you got to put in the contract these days. I just think this is...
Do you believe this is partially on the new age coach kind of syndrome as well, right? Like kind of treating him with kid
He's
gloves
also learning
in a
on the
respect.
go.
No, I don't think it's kid gloves. Again, I don't think it's kid's gloves because they are making him do something. It's not kid's gloves. It's like, oh, will you please? No. Listen, you want more money? You got to do this. You want this? You got to do this. Now, it's incentivized, which I've always said. I've always said that I would make contracts incentive laden.
The thing to me is that this contract would usually be a year later, 2 years. I still need more out of him before this kind of money's given to him. Because right now, you know who's chomping at the bit? Mr. Elite himself, Lamar Jackson. Where's my money? Because that guy's an MVP. No matter what I think of him now, he was an MVP. He's gone farther in the playoffs. Where's his money he's saying? And he's played longer than this guy. So that's the guy that, okay, you want to drop that kind of money, I understand. The guy's put in a little more time. He's been an MVP.
And that's another guy, I tell you, I wouldn't sign more than 5 or 6 years.
I wouldn't do it either.
Because
What I'm
he's going
saying
to get
is
hurt.
he's going to get it, though.
Well, I think
he deserves it.
I think
and
the
he
contract,
does deserve it.
I think these
In the
contracts.
world of where we're living with all these other guys, what's it getting when he gets this guy?
I think these contracts should follow that 4 to 5, maybe at most 6 year.
No. It's actually smart.
It should go NBA route, right?
No, but
Okay,
look at-
let's give
but
them the
look
money,
at-
but shorter period of
No,
time.
the Chiefs are the smartest ones of all of them.
Correct. I agree with that.
They got him for
Chiefs-
10 years.
Right, the Chiefs prorated the contract and actually got a discount on
course.
the kid long term.
Of course, he got a discount.
And he did the smart
He's
thing.
happy.
And he did the smart thing by taking it because he knows he can get good guys
What
around
did he
him.
just say? What did he
And
just say
the other
yesterday?
day.
We saw the press conference.
Correct.
He's like, I want to play with a great team my whole career.
That's it.
And he knows that has to do. The guy realizes, man, if I play my whole career, $500 million.
Speaking of playing your whole career with a great team, Tampa Bay just signed Julio Jones.
I know. I just saw that right now.
So it's
And
that's-
watch
there you go
and watch
again.
a resurgence
That-
there.
Again, it's another weapon that you got to give Brady. You give Brady the weapons, he's going to deliver the ball, distribute.
Jones is going to have a good year getting touchdowns.
The Kansas City
He's gonna have a
contract
very
with
good-
Patrick Mahomes
If he can stay healthy.
was front loaded in his first 3 to 4 years to give him the money now. They knew that they weren't going to be able to sign as many pieces now. That's kind of part of why Tyreek Hill's with the Dolphins right now. But as that contract continues down the line, it starts to free up more money.
Right.
Because it's all caponomics, right? Like it's all
But-
math at that
and
point.
what's going on with the cap as well and the TV money, it is freeing up more and more money.
Which we've discussed,
And-
right?
And it'll
It's a
catch up by
percent-
that time.
It's a
hits.
percent of the cap, even though it sounds like a big amount of money.
But
The
that's the
percentage
smart.
is a
That's
little
why
bit
they're
lower.
smart.
Weird how
The
he
percentage is lower.
came around to the whole percentage situation.
No,
later
because again, when you study it, when you look into it, it's a different ballgame. Now, do I still think it's ridiculously stupid money? Yes, I still think it's ridiculously stupid money.
This is we're playing with Monopoly now. It's crazy, but
Exactly.
the thing is, if it's like this for everyone, then we're gonna roll with it. That's how it has to be played.
When you peel back the layers of this, it becomes more interesting because now this becoming public, and I think we can all agree like this isn't cool that it became public. Like contracts should be.
Of course, they are.
They're a private organization. This doesn't have to become public.
Most contracts are public though, because of that. Because you need to they're setting the stage or the standard.
Right, holding him accountable.
Not only him, but other quarterbacks want to know what did he sign for. Because that again, like I said, sets the table for everyone else to sign.
And that's the next layer of this story, right? This is going to now open the door for these addendums for future contracts, not just for quarterbacks, but across the league, and it may affect other leagues as well. Preparation time, commitment to the team, and depending on position, right? I think, listen, I think there's a unanimous thought here and among many other circles in athletics that quarterback is the most important position in sports. Yeah, this should be ingrained. The fact that it's in writing for the first time is the surprise, is the unusual aspect of this, whereas it was inherently expected in the past, a la Jamarcus Russell, who would get sent tapes that were blank. They would ask him a question and he would lie about it. Right now, this is putting this on paper. Like now, it's part of how you're going to
because we worked, and we had that thought process of the assumption. He is like Grizz said, you're the quarterback. It's expected of you to study.
Right.
You don't? We're screwed.
We can't afford busts anymore. These is what these teams are thinking. Back then, even then, when the number one overall pick got money, the money being given now is so absurd. We got to put it all in writing.
I disagree.
Everything's got to be in writing.
The teams can afford busts because the rookie contract scale allows them to be able to make it make it
not
affordable.
The rookie bust. I'm not saying the
You're
rookie
talking about
bust.
second contract.
Yeah, any kind of contract that I'm giving $250
even
million.
top five, even though that scale is put in, you can't afford it because the issue is as well. Don't forget that you're building your team around that quarterback.
Correct.
And
system, everything.
And because of his rookie contract, you're able to sign those pieces around him. So if he's a bust or those pieces around him are a bust, you've just wasted years and money, and now your timetable has shortened as to being able to win during his rookie contract. You get me?
No, I definitely understood there. It would be interesting to see how the money is partitioned up. I think those details are not out yet, but listen. I think we can all agree that this is not the last time we're going to be talking about this dude. Average annual salary, just pulled it up, will be $46.1 million. Okay, that's the second highest behind only, surprise, surprise, star quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who's got an average annual contract or average annual salary of $50.3 million. I think Aaron Rodgers is in a different stratosphere. I think Deshaun Watson deal set the table. I think that's going to kind of, for this next round of contracts, right? Kyler Murray validated it. Next one up is Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to kind of get in that range of 48 a year, right? 5 years, like you said, I completely agree with you. I don't think you sign him for any more than 5 years, and then you reevaluate after that. Maybe have a extension option for 6 or 7.
You're always going to have that option, that year option, et cetera, that both parties agree on. Sadly, again, Lamar's been getting hurt, so it puts you in a position where you've got to be careful what you do long term with him.
All right, so looking forward, let's kind of switch gears here. Let's jump into our AFC South preview. Last episode, we looked at the NFC East. Okay, go Giants. Today we're going to look at probably the weakest conference or the weakest division in the AFC conference, which is the AFC South. All right, AFC South, for those of you that are more casual fans, we got the Houston Texans, okay, the Indianapolis Colts, all right, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Tennessee Titans in this division. We're going to start off with the Texans, who were 4-13 last year, mostly because of the fact that their star franchise quarterback, previously franchise quarterback, Deshaun Watson, was out for the entire year. I think we can describe the Houston Texans last year as a powder keg, right? Their, coach kind of knew that it was like a 1-year situation for him. He didn't really get a chance to build out. He was dealt a raw deal. Okay, they just started their rookie camp. Veterans report tomorrow. And their first actual practice is later this week. So, Coach, initial thoughts, first reactions.
The first thing we're going to look at is their schedule. Okay, they play the AFC West, and then they're going to play the NFC East. Those are two out of conference.
Kind of balances itself out, don't you think?
To a certain extent, correct, it does. As really, there's two tougher teams in the NFC East, and all four teams in the West are solid teams. They're also going to play the Browns, the Bears, and the Dolphins. With that being said, Lovie Smith is a new head coach. They really did not upgrade their roster too much. It was kind of limited. They picked up a decent edge rusher. They really do not have a lot of it. They only have one, which is the one they drafted now, the first round. So teams are likely to beat them throwing the football. Their back end is not very solid. The Texans allowed the third highest success rate on targets to tight end receivers last season. Their offense is hurting. This is the year now where they need to figure out whether Mills is the guy or not.
Yeah, so they extended Brandon Cooks. They added Marlon Mack. You know, Chris Conley isn't anything to write home about. Don't
forget, Mack has been hurt the last 2 years as well. So like I said, they to be honest with you, across the boards, they're not a very good football team. I mean, no matter how you paint it, they're really just not a very good football team.
Listen, they moved on for Deshaun Watson, so that means all eyes are on Davis Mills, right? He's going to be a second-year quarterback. He was drafted in the first round, right? Many thought that he was a late second-round grade at best. But need will do that to you, right? When there's a run on quarterbacks.
But that's why I said now is the time to see if he can throw. Remember, let's not forget now, the NFL has become a passing league. Okay? You run the ball when you're ahead. You run the ball on 2nd and 6. You spot play the run. You're not a run-heavy team. Houston was a run-heavy team last year. They ran the ball at the third highest rate on early downs. And regardless of what they did, their production sucked. Okay? So here you are with that quarterback. First down, you run it. You don't gain any yards. It's 2nd and 10. So everybody and their mother knows you're running draw, screen, or throwing it.
By the way,
boom, boom.
It also doesn't help that their big-time, receiver acquisition through the draft, John Mechie, not only was recovering from an ACL, now he's not going to play this year because he's going to be battling cancer. Obviously,
correct.
That's a sad situation. No one wants to hear that, especially from such a young talent that has such high potential for them. That would have been a security blanket for Davis Mills going into the season, something that they could have developed and grown together.
And it helps them as well because, number one, they played a 22nd rated schedule on pass defenses. So, therefore, they should have a chance to throw the ball. Okay? Most of the defenses that they play are not great defenses against the pass. So, it helps them and helps Mills to see where he's at, what they can do, or do they need to find a quarterback next year in the draft? Okay? When you take a look at how much they pay, okay, they only have 3 positions where they're within the top 12 in the league. Linebacker, corner, and O-line. Everything else is 19, 20, 30, 28. And in the NFL, if you don't spend money, usually your team isn't very good.
No, and they're going to be young in the defensive second. I think they're throwing their chips in with Lovie Smith to develop that defense, a la what he did with the Chicago Bears. But their first and second round picks were DBs, right? Derek Stingley Jr. and a Jalen Pitre. These are corner and a safety that they're going to be thrown into the fire right off the gate. And like you alluded to, their schedule's coming at them fast, man. You got New Orleans Saints, Los Angeles Rams, and San Francisco 49ers right out the gate. All right? These are teams that...
Coach, who are you looking at, Coach?
We're talking about the Texans.
Coach, we're talking about the Texans. They got Indianapolis, Denver, the Bears.
I'm looking at the preseason. I apologize.
Okay. That doesn't count.
But we're gonna
that part of it doesn't count.
Right, but we're gonna learn a lot about them right now, especially right off the hit with the Rams.
No, they won't. Coach, none of those guys. No, they're not playing anymore.
They'll probably go undefeated in the preseason. They'll look like
with
Super
those
Bowl
young guys.
contenders.
Listen, they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Remember that the Patriots would go winless in the preseason a lot of times. I don't care about that.
Those guys, they got a lot of young dudes that they're gonna have to play early and often.
They do play 3 of the better defenses. They play Indianapolis, they play Denver, they play the Chargers in the first 5. They can go 2-3 in the first 5. Then they play at the Raiders. They face Tennessee at home, Philly at home, the Giants away, Washington at home. Their tough stretch comes at the end of the season when they're going to play the Dolphins, the Browns, the Cowboys, KC, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and Indy. The only game at the end there they might have a shot at winning is Jacksonville.
Who's an improved team?
Correct. Okay. The other side of it is they do face 6 new coaches, guys that are brand new to the NFL. But out of those 7 guys that they face, 6 of those games are on the road. So again, it doesn't help them. It's not a good situation. When they play Miami will have more than a week to prepare. So their schedule is a pretty difficult situation. They're not favored in any game.
0 games favored, huh?
0 games favored.
They are the lowest win proposal here at 4.5.
At 4.5, correct.
I don't think they get to 4.
I mean,
let's see if Lovie Smith can pull one out of his. Pull the rabbit out of the hat.
I think they want another top 3 pick here.
Correct.
I mean, they play tough. They were in games last year, but they don't have talent. I got nobody here I'm drafting for my team in my fantasy. Sorry, Texans under 4 in my book. I don't even need to think about it.
The only thing that helps them is if they play the Browns without Deshaun. If Deshaun's not playing, then okay,
maybe
it's a toss-up. They played Jacksonville twice. Again, divisional game.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be better though. They're getting Etienne back. The second year under Trevor Lawrence.
The Jags are.
But it's a brand new coaching staff. It's a brand new coaching staff, and we'll talk about them as we get
staff.
Yeah, we're going to get there.
It's a better staff, but again, it's a brand new. So Lovey at least has been here. So again, they can split.
He's going to be able to stem the tide.
That can be a split. So like I said, you're looking at maybe the Giants. The Redskins should rebound. Like the Grizz said, 3-4 games at the most. I don't see anything other than that. I don't think they beat anybody in the West.
Yeah, I don't.
Just because they got to play the Raiders at Las Vegas.
Them drawing the AFC West there is a rough.
They got to play the
draw.
Raiders in Las Vegas. So again, I don't see how that's going to work out.
So, all right. Well, we just talked about them. Let's roll right into Jacksonville Jaguars. Last year's schedule, 3-14. They endured.
You couldn't make things easy and just go into Indianapolis, right, and go.
No. We're going down the bottom of the barrel, work our way up here. All Jacksonville right. Jaguars, right? 2021 record, 3-14. They endured a firestorm, if you will. Finger pistols, kicking. Head coach kicking players.
He didn't kick anybody.
He kicked a player.
He didn't kick
It might have been the kicker.
He touched him with his foot and said, "Hey, can you make sure you make the next one?" And the guy didn't like it. Then he got cut. He didn't like it.
Well,
get out of here.
Poopy kicker or not?
Poopy.
It didn't bode well for him.
Frank Morales kicker. Poopy.
Whoa.
Mr. Poopy.
Kicker. What kicker, coach?
He's a poopy guy.
We haven't had it.
He's a poopy guy. I said
a
Frank
kicker
Morales
in 4
guy.
years.
He's a poopy guy.
And our guy's good at from 25, if that.
He's a poopy guy.
So, all right, let's look at let's jump in and look at their schedule right off the hit. Let's not look at the preseason schedule.
Hey, that'd be great.
They play at Washington, home to the Colts, at the Chargers, at Philly. First 4 games. You got the Washington gaming. That's it. Start out hot.
And they might end up going 0-4 because, to be honest with you, they're playing at Washington, so that's not a guarantee. That's not easy either. They only play 7 home games.
Yeah, but the coach
because they play in London.
Yeah, but the quarterback for Washington lost his last game to the Jaguars. That's what lost his job.
Sadly, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Carson Wentz is just not the right answer.
Right. So that's why.
Colts, Chargers, Eagles.
Out of those first 4,
it's a toss-up.
Out of those first 4, that's their best chance
that's
for
their
a
best shot. I agree.
Because the next best shot's Houston at home. Week 5.
Week 5. Because week 6, Colts, Giants, week 7. Again, we'll see what happens there.
They are 6 on the win-loss for the year, so it's an improvement. I don't know if I see 6, but hey, someone's got to win games in that division, right?
No, I mean, the good thing with them is, they'll get to play Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
They get to play the Jets. So those are games that they might be able to squeak one of those out. They split with Houston, play the Giants at home. So again, that's 4 possible wins right there.
I mean, I can see 5. Maybe even a push.
So no, notable acquisitions.
Now the bad thing is, again, they don't play back-to-back home games. They do play home. They play back-to-back against the Giants, Denver, and the Raiders. That's the only time that they play back-to-back home games.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
that Denver game's a neutral game.
Oh, that's right. I said London. My bad. So again, they don't play any back.
Three straight home games, but that one in the middle.
They don't play any back-to-back home games. So again, they're either on the road back-to-back or yes and no.
Yeah, they're traveling a lot.
So
yeah, and I mean, and you look at their notable acquisitions. Do you only name? Okay, so Christian Kirk, right? But again, can he be a number 1 for them? Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, who has had injury, issues his entire year or his entire career, and everybody else on here, not really anything to write home about. Again, I think they're going to continue to build from within. Again, like we talked about, Travis Etienne is coming back from ACL injury. They were going to ride that combination of Lawrence and Etienne in their first year because they played together, won a couple national championships when they were at Clemson. But again, let's see what happens there. Departures: Carlos Hyde, Tavon Austin. They lost both starting guards.
DJ Clark.
It's Miles Jack, which was their best linebacker, really. So, again, another rebuilding year.
Their losses far outweigh what they brought in.
Right.
And again, after the Week 11 bye, they play Baltimore away, Detroit at home, Tennessee away, Dallas at home, the Jets away, Houston away, and Tennessee at home. So right there, you're trying to win 3 away games, 1 out of 3 away games. The ending is not a pretty ending.
What do you think what's the over under on their?
It's 6.5. Like Grizz says, 6.5. I don't know if they can reach 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
Now they may cover.
I saw it at 6.
They
but
may
regardless,
cover.
I don't think. I think 5 is their max.
So another top 10 slot for them in next year's draft.
I mean, they'll double their wins.
Look, the best thing they got going for them, I think we can agree here, is that they got a proven head coach, right? Doug Peterson won the Super Bowl with the Eagles in 2018. He has been billed as a quarterback developer. However, we do know that a lot of what they were able to do was when Frank Reich was the quarterback's coach / OC there. So let's see if he can do it on his own now, right? He doesn't have that guy to back him up there on the offensive side, right? Because they took a marketable step back offensively when Frank Reich went and took the Colts job. So can Doug Peterson get back to that? Can he get back to what he was billed as previously? Can he get back to that being quarterback developer? Can he get into Trevor Lawrence's head and take him to the next level that everybody thought he was going to be? Because remember, Trevor Lawrence going into the draft, he was, predicted as the best quarterback prospect since John Elway. Didn't show that in year 1. Again, he didn't have the support, right, that many thought that he would have, right? The coaching staff didn't help him there. Anyway, he was kind of doing it on his own. So let's see what happens. Let's see if he cuts down on the turnovers, right? Because that was his biggest issue, right? He could never get a rhythm going.
They never really put him in a great situation because with all these guys, you need to use play action more on first down. You need to put them in a better position to have shorter third downs.
It's never good when you have the opposing defenses teeing off on you, pinning their ears back and going, right? A lot of his stuff was drop back, make decisions, and see what you can do. Yeah, I don't care how good of a prospect you are and what team you played for in college. You got 11 studs on the other side of the ball, okay, that maybe you saw 1 or 2, right, of those during the season when you were in college. Every single dude is that dude on an NFL defense. Okay, so again, year 2, let's see if he goes back to what he was projected to be.
The defenses that they are facing some easy defenses as far as it comes to pass and even run. because the Chargers were terrible on defense last year. Okay, Houston was horrible. The Giants stunk. The Broncos were supposed to have a better defense. They were somewhat mediocre. KC's hasn't had a great defense. And you got the Lions and the Jets. So again, those are 5 or 6 games where they can be competitive. And they can keep things close. Their toughest defense opponents are going to be Indianapolis, Tennessee, and then Baltimore against the run, not so much against the pass. Because Baltimore's passing defense last year stunk as well.
If the Ravens don't tear every ACL in the building this year round.
That was a running game, not so much the defensive backs.
All right, let's move on to the Tennessee Titans last year. Okay, their 2021 record was 12-5. Okay, that was good enough to win the division.
It was good enough to be number one in the entire conference.
It was number one in the entire conference.
Shocker.
I think what hamstringed them was the fact that they lost their Megatron in the backfield, right? The behemoth that they have.
But they got him back when they needed it. I think what held them back is Ryan Tannehill was their quarterback.
What held them back were 2 things. Well, 2 things held them back. Number 1, the play calling. They're too run-centric. They are. Everybody knows it. And as you said, the quarterback. Tannehill has become someone that's relying on play action. He's vulnerable as a starting quarterback because, again, his stats without play action dropped to negative 0.14 EPA per attempt. Okay, that's earned points. He has a 45% success rate and only 5.7 yards per attempt. Instead of 8.7 and 52% success rate when it's play action. Okay, the Titans called first down run plays on 53% of their runs of their plays on first down. 53% were running plays. In the NFL, you can't do that. Can't do that because again, their success rate, you log up, you play 8 or 9 man boxes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, once Derrick Henry went down, the load went to Ryan Tannehill's shoulders. And that's not who he was, right? He was, as you said, he played off of the fact that other teams were putting 9 in the box, right? We're playing the run, okay? And that's what allowed him to be successful and be so efficient in years past or in games past before Derrick Henry got hurt. But you look at the playoff game. I mean, he started the game with an interception, started the second half with an interception, ended the game with an interception, right? He lost their ability to get to the AFC Championship game single-handedly. It was a rough go at it, in front of millions of people.
That's why he was exposed, and he should give half of the money he was given in that contract to Derrick Henry, because that man made him his money. It shadowed everybody thinking that, oh man, coming out of the Dolphins, now he's playing as a real quarterback. No, he just had very good players around him, especially the best running back at the time.
And probably the best O-line the past 2 years.
O-line's top notch.
Well, they played this year, again, last year they played certain defenses that were susceptible to the run.
Right. But there's also this term called a regular season quarterback. He's a regular season quarterback. He'll get you some numbers. And remember, when Henry went down, who was their backup? Because he had some good games. They held the ship long enough to keep the number 1 seed. So they were still playing good. It's just that when he's not, he's a guy you get him in the playoffs. I mean, he had never really been there.
The funny thing, like you said, who was his backups? His backups were more pass catchers out of the backfield than they were thumpers, right? So everybody knew, hey, listen, we're going to load the box even more. Dare us. We're going to dare you to throw the ball and win the game, right? Again, notable additions.
I think their run of South Championships comes to an end.
Really?
I do. I think that first of all, they've been very, very lucky. Mm-hmm. First of all, if you take a look at it,
it's a weak division.
It's not only that. Their record in 1-score games is incredible. They've won like 22 out of 25 games over the last 2 years, 1-score games. That doesn't happen. That's just too lucky. Okay, because there's always regression to the mean.
Right.
So therefore, they're going to start losing some of those 1-score games. They played the 7th easiest schedule of pass offenses last year. This year they won't. They don't do well. Their pass rank last year on defense, they ranked 25th in pressure and 28th on pressure rate on non-blitz. So their defense, again, is susceptible to big plays and big passes. They've gotten away with again, running the football, being very stale. Unless they change things a lot. And I don't think they will because they're winning. And they have a defensive-minded head coach.
Let's also see what happens because now you have, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but their offensive coordinator took the Falcons job last year.
I'm sorry, 13-4 in one-score games the last 2 years.
Their offensive coordinator took the Falcons job last year.
The new guy last year was Todd Downing.
Right.
But he kept on doing the same thing that Smith did.
Well, I would even dare to say that he wasn't as diverse as the former offensive coordinator because even though they were run-centric the past couple of years, he did have some more schemes to open that up. Allowed Tannehill to work off of, stretch plays, outside zone.
Yeah. But they still needed to convert way too many third down plays.
Right.
And if you take a look at it, that's what hurts them.
I think they tried to address it in the offseason, right? Notable acquisitions, re-signings. They got Robert Woods from the Rams. Okay. They also added Austin Hooper, which those are two pieces that should help in the pass game.
Hopefully Woods comes back strong.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've seen both players. I've seen those guys over the last couple of years.
Problem
they really
is
haven't.
You lost A.J. Brown. So that's a big loss.
They have not been able. First of all,
Julio Jones didn't necessarily pan out for them either.
Right. But Julio was, hopefully he was going to do good at it. But A.J. Brown was your moneymaker, young receiver, and they got rid of him. So
and they ended up drafting.
Everybody they got to me is nowhere near what that guy Brown was, because when he was in the lineup, they killed it. When he wasn't, Ryan Tannehill was his average.
It was a different situation.
So
again, that's why I'm saying. To me, the Robert Woods move is fine, whatever. But he has not shown to be that consistent of a receiver.
Well, remember how many pieces they had in that Rams offense. In addition to him, he's going to be a featured guy now.
But before that, he wasn't just with the Rams.
Right. Besides,
I think
the bottom line
with the Texans
is,
as well.
No, you're thinking about.
But here's the bottom line: even if
Brandon
Woods was healthy, he's a downgrade from Brown.
Right. No, big
now this
100%.
guy's coming from an injury. I expect him. Everybody comes from these injuries, and they're back to normal. Hopefully, I'm just saying, no matter what, this guy, I don't think he's going to be as good as what you had with Brown. So right there, they're going to regress a little bit where they need to be better.
I think their biggest regression is going to be on the offensive line. I think we're not talking about like losing Roger Saffold in the offseason doesn't help them either.
They're at 9 for their win-loss.
9.5 or 9?
9.
Oh, it went down. It went down half a game.
I got it here at 9.
So it went down. It started out at 9.5.
When it's all said and done, where do we think does Ryan Tannehill remain the starting quarterback, or do we see Malik Willis be inserted there at some point?
No.
I'm asking. I'm asking a question. I'm not saying that it's going to happen.
They might have a package or two with Malik, but he is nowhere near ready to be an NFL quarterback. They'll live and die with Tannehill this year, and then for the next season, then maybe you'll see Malik Willis.
It's not completely let's pull the plug. They were the number 1 seed last year. You got to respect that. You got to give this guy a shot to be better. He's been paid the money. I just think they outperformed their record last year, so they're just going to come down. They still, I think, go over because I still think they can win 10 games because of the division. They're going to have 4 cupcake type of games. You probably lose 1, but the division.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, if you take a look at the way they start their season,
they're starting
off
tough.
They could be 2-2.
They definitely could.
1-3. I mean, if the Raiders play their cards right at home, they could end up 1-3. They play away at Buffalo and away at Indianapolis.
Absolutely.
And if the Raiders come in and play, I mean, they could be 1-3, 2-2 going into Washington, and then on top of everything else, they get their bye week in week 6. Yeah. So that means they got to run the table all the way to 18.
Yeah. I still think they can get to 10 compared with what they're playing. But I don't think they win the division either. So I agree there.
Moving into, I think what it sounds like is the division winner, the Indianapolis Colts. Right? Last year their record was 9-8. I think from what it sounds like, Coach Grizz, you guys have high hopes for them.
Before we jump to that, right? I didn't read this and I had it here. They're gonna face Mahomes, Wilson,
Tennessee.
Rodgers,
you're talking about,
yes, and Burrows, all in a row.
That's a tough stretch.
That's 5 top-notch quarterbacks. I'm sorry, 4. That's 4 top-notch quarterbacks, one after the other. So, I mean, 10's a lot of wins. I don't know. I'm concerned with Tennessee this year. I think they no, I really do. They've had a lot of luck.
Regression to the mean.
I think regression comes to bite them in the butt. They're going to start losing some of those one-score games. Especially, like I said, you've got that run there, and then the last 4 games, you've got three division games, and then you got sandwiched between those 3 division games. You got the Chargers away and the Cowboys at home. Cowboys ain't pie. Cowboys aren't easy.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I think it's a 2-man race. I think it's the Tennessee Titans along with Indianapolis Colts, which we're going to talk about right now. Their 2021 record was 9-8. Okay, I think their potential was hamstrung by, as we've talked about, Carson Wentz.
Sadly, he continued his terrible
Carson Wentz
accuracy situation.
Carson Wentz has moved on to the Washington Commanders. So we look at their 2 potential starting quarterbacks, because I think they're gonna make them battle it out.
2 potential.
Matt Ryan and Nick Foles. Bro. Don't be surprised that Nick Foles starts.
Get out of
by
here.
mid-season.
Get out of here.
I'm just saying.
Listen, whatever you're smoking, pass it down.
Matty Ice, buddy.
Because it's going to be Matty Ice all the way, brother.
I would love to see Matty Ice have
unless he gets hurt.
I would love to see Matty Ice have a resurgence. What I'm saying is that there is... You can't not discredit the fact that Nick Foles may end up being the starter by midseason if they're struggling.
Unless he's hurt.
He's hurt.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. I'm just saying. Nick Foles has something that Matty Ice choked down. Choked down in the fourth quarter.
That was bottle. That was magic in a bottle.
Super Bowl MVP, ladies and gentlemen.
That was magic in a bottle.
Nick Foles.
What has he done since then? He sucked.
He's back with Frank Reich.
Oh, okay. So was Wentz.
I'm just being devil's advocate, bro.
No, it doesn't matter. Don't be a devil's advocate right now.
I'm just being devil's advocate.
Don't be a devil's advocate right now.
So yes, Matt Ryan. I think yes, we all agree will start the season as the starter there. However, again,
now check this out.
Remember this.
Listen to
Record this. AC as a producer. Save this clip.
Listen to this. Frank Reich has yet to have the same starting quarterback in back-to-back seasons or back-to-back years as a head coach. His record is 37-28 with 2 trips to the playoffs and only 1 losing season. How many NFL coaches do you think could do that?
None. 0.
So that shows you
the guy's a magician.
That shows you what he could do. And I do believe that, because with Phillip Rivers, he had a great little run. And I think that with Matt Ryan, he'll be able to do it as well. They've got a nice offensive line that can protect Matt and keep the pocket clean. They have a great little running game. Their only weakness comes in a little bit of the receiver room. The receiver room's a little suspect.
See, I think Michael Pittman Jr. takes the next step this year.
You're right. But again, that's one guy. To me, in the NFL, you have to have 2 or 3 guys. If it's not another receiver, it's got to be the tight end. It's got to be so. That's why KC is so successful. That's why Buffalo has started, because their tight end is a weapon. They got 2 outside receivers. They got the little running backs that sometimes they can swing it out to. Again, unless they can develop that second and third option, that's when they'll get into trouble.
Would you say they have a plethora of options? Is that why they're good?
Who's that?
All those teams that you mentioned, the Buffaloes, the KC.
Correct.
So that's what they need, and I don't think the Colts have that yet.
Agreed, and that's my concern.
They're definitely they're going to be run heavy. Okay, they had the best running attack,
number 1 in fantasy to me.
Last year, and then they bolstered that by adding Phillip Lindsay, which again, productive running back with the Broncos. That's a great switch up.
He's a bleh. He's a bleh.
Oh, wow, you guys are meanies.
He's a bleh.
Yeah, you throw 100 carries through the year, he'll do good. Change up back, couple plays here and there. I got you.
You guys are mean.
Another thing is they started slow every year in the last 5 years under him.
They're
lose
0-8
in week 1. They're 0-8 in week 1.
They shouldn't.
Since 2014, they're 0-8 in week 1. Weeks 1 through 5, they're 8-12. The 9th fewest wins.
They play at Houston. We should get that 0-8 out of it.
I agree.
We should.
I agree. It's a division game, and yes, they should win that.
They start with at Houston and at Jacks. We should start off real quickly
2-0, and then KC comes to their house.
You got a KC game. That'll be a good game.
That has to be a shootout.
Yeah, and then right off the bat after that, you got a home game against Tennessee. Right off the bat, I mean, they play Tennessee the next 3 weeks again. So right there, the division title's on the line right there in those 2 games.
They could end up being 1, 2, 3, 4-1 in the division, and that's splitting with Tennessee. They haven't beat Jacksonville away anyways. I mean, that's another one.
They played 5 of their first 7 games against division opponents.
Correct.
And they don't have to play another division game till the last game against Houston. So, I mean, they get this off to a right start. 4-1, 5-0 in the division. I mean...
And that's why I said if they can get the monkey off their back against Jacksonville and finally beat Jacksonville at Jacksonville, which I think they can. I believe they have the ability. And again, now they do have a better defensive coordinator.
I like it because it's early for them.
They have Gus Bradley, who's a better DC. Yeah. I think he's an upgrade there. So I think their defense is going to be that much better now.
Yeah, they're at 9.5 for their over win-loss. So I definitely have them. Definitely at double-digit wins.
They have a good shot at 10, no doubt.
Oof. It's going to be a close one.
I mean, listen, if you take a look at it, some of their toughest teams are at home. They play KC at home, Tennessee at home, Dallas at home, Philadelphia at home, the Chargers at home.
Like I said, they got I mean, we're giving Tennessee because they were that kind of team. But if you're going to say they regress, so you find them a little easier... I mean, really, it's only KC that worries me at Denver.
Unless the Chargers do a 180 on their defensive pass game.
But I'm saying the bulk of their tougher games are in that middle pack. Right after they get to New England and the Raiders, you got the Eagles. Pittsburgh at home should be, right? Good.
Yeah, you got 3.
You got
3 home games in a row.
Yeah. They have a great, and then
their schedule is cake. Their schedule, when you look at it,
they start with cake. They finish with cake at the Giants and Houston.
And it's funny, like when you look at their schedule, right? Usually, the way that the NFL schedule works out is you have your division games early, and then you finish up with the division games late. And they kind of go back and forth mid-season.
That's what Coach said in the beginning.
That's what I'm saying.
First 7 weeks of the season,
and their last division game is the last week of the season.
Correct.
And
which might not even count.
I don't echo in here. What am I?
No. I'm just saying. Like
he's just processing it now.
No,
Grizz, he's just processing.
What I'm saying is that you play them twice. Correct. Usually, that second time is the second half of the season, and it's way early.
Well, that's why
it's way.
They try to do that with most teams, but remember, the schedule's a fickle thing. They got to make this perfect. You know how it is to schedule all these games. What it takes to do all this.
These guys are.
So a few of them are going to be. I think there's a team that plays 4 teams from another conference straight.
These guys may know their division winners by week 9.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
So remember, they might, you might have a 5-1 division record, but if you lose every other game, you're not going to win the division at the end of the day. But like I said, they have a cake schedule. It looks like from the beginning and to the end. You got your little meat in the middle. So I think for sure they're a double-digit team, like we've been talking about. Could be even like 12 to me, but I think for sure they're on the over.
So you heard it here first. Division winners of the AFC South, Indianapolis Colts, with Nick Foles at the end of the season. Just kidding. Just kidding.
If he gets in there,
Jesus.
I retract my bet.
Tennessee all
day. Look at this guy. This guy's Andy on
That's hilarious. So that concludes our AFC South preview. We're going to be, like we talked about last week, we're going to be going through all the divisions leading up to the season, giving our previews. And we may have to come back and revisit some of these teams that we did early because, listen, at the end of the day, we're 8 weeks away, 7 weeks away, right in that wheelhouse. A lot of things can change. So we may have to readdress some of this
the only thing
right before the season starts.
The only way it changes is during that preseason that people get hurt. Which always derails the fantasy football,
right? Which is funny, right? We had that argument with our fantasy league, like, hey, we need to get this as close as humanly possible to the season.
That's it.
And you have 8 of our 12 guys chiming in to agree on a date, and then after a week of it being scheduled, okay, then it goes to crap again. So that's funny.
It's life.
So we'll be right back with our preview, our continuing look at the AAC in college football, and we're going to start looking at the ACC when we get right back in segment 2. And we're back with segment 2. We're going to look at, we're going to continue our review of college football. Off air we had a little chat, and we're going to do a little zig and zag. We're gonna jump straight into the ACC here because it was a little bit of a little hot debate here prior to getting on air.
Just a little back and forth.
Coach has got some sleepers here. A little bit of a bombshell that Grizz is waiting to hear
sleeper,
and respond to. So,
it's not a sleeper.
Coach, take it away.
It's not a sleeper. We were talking about the ACC, and I told him that I have NC State winning the ACC championship next year. I have NC State winning. I think NC State is the better team. I think their defense, almost all of their defense comes back. Give me a second here while I access their returners. I think they have the better quarterback, and that's where I'm laying everything on. I think the NC State quarterback, Leary, is coming back. He's an exceptional player. He was really, really good last year. And I just think that they've got 75% of their offense, 95 offensive starts. Their schedule is easier than it was last year. They went 9-3. And I just feel that they're going to be Clemson. I'm not sold on the Clemson quarterback. I was looking at him, and thankfully ESPN gives us the spring games, and I recorded it. And the one thing I wanted to take a look at was his mechanics. And Ugalale, I wish I could get better at his names.
We'll move ahead of it.
He just has such poor mechanics. He's a great athlete now. Great arm. They bring back most of their offense. But don't forget, Clemson is in transition here. Clemson lost both coordinators. They've lost their second half of their offensive coordinator within 4 years because the head coach of USF and South Florida was also a co-offensive coordinator at Clemson.
Brandon Streeter goes from quarterbacks coach to OC.
So again, they lose both OC and DC. And I think that they're going to have a step back in terms of their offensive explosiveness, their ability to get the ball to their players. I just don't. I think the backup quarterback starts playing in week 6 or 7.
Wow. I mean, you know more of the recruiting. I will give you always, you know more about this than me any day of the week. It's just that I trust Dabo Swinney. I just trust these coaches that he's put himself up there with the Nick Sabans of the world, where you come back the next year and you do it again. It doesn't matter who you put in. Last year was a little regress, right? And they still were an amazing team. I think I trust more Clemson doing it than NC State.
But how did they win though? How did Clemson win last year?
They won very bad. They won very.
It was
ugly.
all defense.
They won very defense.
They averaged 24 points a game.
But you have no faith in this quarterback.
I have them scoring 30. I have them going back up to scoring 30. I do think
the defense will be a little worse. So.
I think their defense is going to give up. Okay, again, can I go back?
May I interject here?
Go ahead.
I gotta agree with Coach here because offensively, I don't think they take as much of a step back as they do defensively. Anytime you lose a defensive coordinator at the caliber of Brent Venables, which, side note, I think it was long overdue that he becomes a head coach, and I respect that man for what he's done and the reputation and the resume that he's built. Okay, they lost a de facto head coach as a defensive coordinator by losing Brent Venables going to Oklahoma. Okay, now taking over for Brent Venables is not one but 2 people. That just shows you the importance of that man, that they're replacing that dude with their defensive assistant Wes Goodwin, who becomes a co-DC with Mickey Kahn, who was their safeties coach. These are going to be first-year DCs who are going to try to replicate what Brent Venables has been able to do for the better part of a decade there. And I don't think, it may be the same play calls, it may be the same structure of defense, technically, but what you lose in that secret sauce that man was able to bring in the way that he was able to dial up blitzes and be timely in the calls that he made, that for first year defensive coordinators, that's a tough spot to be in. Those are huge shoes to fill. And like I said, you're filling those shoes with not 1 but 2 people to try to get that job done. So they're going to take a step back more defensively than I think they are offensively.
How long have both those coaches been with the school?
Oh,
10, 15 years or something like that.
They've been there since Sweeney with Sweeney.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up for you right now. Brent Venables was the.
I'm not talking about the guys that we lost. I'm talking about the two coaches that just came in.
Oh no, they've been there for a couple. They've been there for 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
But he was a defensive coordinator for Clemson since 2012.
No, but he's talking about the guys that are taking over for him.
Oof. Now we're digging deep into the weeds here. Let's see. Let's pull them up. Because like I said, these are first year DCs.
I'll tell you right now. Hold on. I believe I should have it right here. Give me 1 second.
And he's a youngin' too. He's been with Clemson for 11 seasons. It looks like. He's been with the staff for 11 seasons.
As a quarterback coach.
Started as a graduate assistant and worked his way up.
Again, my biggest concern is, like I said before, it's the quarterback not being able to live up to his expectations. When he filled in for Lawrence during his freshman year, he had these 2 great games, right? Mm-hmm. Well, now all of a sudden we saw his body of work over a season. Okay, if you take a look and you look at their spring football game, and again they're playing against one of the better defenses in college. Okay, he had guys open. He can't throw an out route. You'll see him miss the out route 3 or 4 times. And it's just a situation where I think either they run him and they use him more as a runner than as a passer. Because he just does not have the mechanics. He's got a great arm. He's a stud of a kid. Great looking kid. He's slimmed down. But the mechanics are not there for me. And again, when we take a look at NC State, we take a look at the body of work that they've done and the head coach there. First of all, there's continuity in the OC, the DC, and the head coach.
Correct.
They've got a great group of kids coming back. Their defense comes back and adds. So again, you're talking about a defense that last season gave up.
Now, I will say that Clemson has done it before where they took a marginal step back.
NC State gave up 20.8 points a game last year. So again, that's not whistling Dixie. Now, Clemson gave up a ridiculous 15.8. Okay, since 2018, it's been 13.7, 10.6, 20.2 during COVID, 15.8 last year. Okay, I don't see them copying that. I see them giving up almost 20 points a game. I think a 4.5 point bump isn't out of the ordinary for that defense right now. I see them scoring 30 points. That gives me 8.5, 9 wins, almost 9 wins a season. That's a 9-win season, algorithmically speaking. Okay? When you take a look at, I have almost the same, but I have NC State scoring a little bit more. Their schedule gets a little easier. So.
You said Wake Forest off fair, gonna go back down.
Yes.
Boston College is a bad team?
Yes. They'll be 500 at best.
FSU will be better for you, right?
They'll be 500 at best. Maybe 7 games.
I mean.
So my problem with this is this. They've got a good quarterback, BC, but he's been hurt the last 2 years.
No, I know.
So he's got to stay healthy.
I'm only asking these questions because looking at Clemson's schedule, they only have 4 true road games.
Yes.
BC, Wake Forest, so winnable games on the road.
Yes.
The FSU game, we'll see how they've been better. The only game on the road that looks tough, a Saturday night game at Notre Dame.
Yes.
That's always going to be tough. You're playing at Notre Dame.
Yes.
Everything else is at home. The big game against NC State. The Georgia Tech is a neutral game, but that's pretty much one of those games that's close for them. I mean, they got the schedule working in their favor with home games. I just tell you, I think it's NC State. You got to prove to me.
The reason that I think Wake Forest takes a step back is defensively.
Right.
They've only got 50% of last year's defense coming back, 52 to be exact.
I still think they're going to have a good season. I don't think eighth overall.
When we look at Wake Forest builds that they're not losing guys. They don't recruit 5 stars, right? So they're always leaning on their juniors and seniors.
But listen, you're overlooking Louisville. Louisville's loaded, brother. Louisville's got Cunningham coming back.
I know. This is why I put you as the recruiting guy.
You know what I'm saying? Louisville's loaded. Florida State's defense comes back again. They look really good. Okay? That's why, to me, Wake Forest goes down because you've got those guys moving up, and Wake Forest loses some of its receivers, so they're not in that category where they were last year. Like I said, defensively, I just don't think they sucked last year on defense, and they're losing guys.
Yeah,
They just had a special season in your
Correct.
opinion.
They played again. They started out 8-0. They just had a lot of stuff going on.
yeah. See, let's look at.
I still think they'll have a
I
shot.
think Clemson going into that NC State game is their fifth game of the season, I believe.
Yep.
They're probably more than likely going to be 4-0 going into
Should
that
be.
game. They should be, right? And then NC State going into that Clemson game has East Carolina, Charleston Southern. I think they're obviously both wins. Texas Tech may be a trap game for them. UConn should be a win. So they're
for sure.
looking again 3-1, 4-0. Right, that's going to be the deciding
They should
factor.
be 4-0 as well.
They should be 4-0 as well. Correct. Right.
It's those two guys. It's NC State and Clemson, guys. It's those two guys. I'm telling you right now, those are the heavy hitters on the Atlantic side, the Atlantic Division. Okay? So
I just man,
I know everybody-
that Louisville game is that's a road bump that's a speed bump for both of them.
correct.
So yeah, because I think I'm agreeing with you there. I think it's a 2-man race for the Atlantic Division. We've seen Clemson do it before, right? When Deshaun Watson moved on, they had a little bit of a regression in that year, right?
See, but now remember,
and then
now,
they brought in Trevor
but
Lawrence,
remember,
and then they quickly ascended.
Clemson
again.
plays Louisville off of the Notre Dame game at Notre Dame. Okay, take a look at the scheduling there. They play Louisville at home, but they're coming off of the Notre Dame game. That's going to be a physical game.
Yeah, it is.
That's a primetime game. Okay, so
And
then they got Louisville and Miami. They got South Carolina, which again, South Carolina had a decent year last year. Beamer did a great job of recruiting this year, and we'll talk about that later. So that's a nice, tough little stretch of games right there. Okay, when you take a look at NC State, they're coming off of Boston College, and then playing Louisville and UNC, and they got the bye week on the 22nd of October. So they finish off with Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Boston College, Louisville, and UNC. Technically, one real team that's the toughest of the five. Because Virginia Tech, I love their head coach. They're going to have a good defense. Their defense is going to step up. Their offense will be slow in coming. That's the guy from Penn State, Pry.
yeah, then they're gonna be rolling downhill. It's gonna take them a little
They're
bit.
going to evolve, and they're going to be really good.
I agree with that.
But again, not this season. Wake Forest again. Wake Forest has to play at NC State. So they're coming off of 3 straight home games to then play Louisville on the road.
Yeah, this
You,
is.
you get me where I'm coming
Oh,
from
no,
now?
I'm agreeing with you for the
That's
most
why I'm
part.
saying that. And like I said, I really think that after that NC State game, you might see another quarterback against Boston College or Florida State.
Yeah.
Unless DJ
That's the
surprises
thing.
me.
I think he will surprise you.
You know?
And I think they beat NC State and they go to Notre Dame undefeated at 8-0.
My problem is that he's not going to get a good defense for 4 consecutive weeks. He starts the first the season against Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech sucks. They're going to play Furman, Pobrecito. That's a money game. Okay? They're going to play Louisiana Tech. Again, another team in transition. Head coach is now coaching in the USFL. Okay? They play at Wake Forest, which again has no defense. So his first defense, the first good defense he's going to face is NC State. And
At home, at least.
NC State whooped them last year.
I know.
NC State beat them last year.
Chip on the shoulder for revenge.
Oh, I get you. But you know what? NC State has a chip on their shoulder
know,
too.
but college
because
is
everybody's going to
fickle.
talk about that. You know who
College
you
is
played.
fickle.
Whereas now, look, NC State's going to play at East Carolina, which East Carolina is much better now. Texas Tech, which is going to throw the football, and then they're going to beat the crap out of UConn.
They'll be a
So-
little bit more tested, is what you're saying.
I just feel like Texas Tech is going to throw the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Big 12. East Carolina, their offense Again, they're one of the middle AAC teams. We didn't get to cover them. That's a team that's really up and coming. That guy's doing a great job there with that team. They had a good season last year.
And you look at their offense. It's there's when you look at them, they're spread, but they are power football.
Correct.
They're going to punch you in the mouth.
So again, like I said, they've got 2 or 3 teams there that can play a little bit and give NC State something to gnash their teeth on. Clemson plays nobody except by Wake Forest. Mm-hmm. But at Wake Forest, like I said, their defense is not a good defense.
I think Wake Forest comes down.
Like I said, I'm very high on NC State. I really like them this year. I put money on them already. I got them in Miami to come out. Okay. With that being said, I do think Miami has some tough shoes to fill. I moved up their point. I gave them to 34.5 points a game. I'm concerned about just making sure that the offense gels. I think Gaddis does a great job. I think he's the best OC in college football. I really do. I think he's just watching with the things he did with Michigan football were impressive. I think he has more toys to play with than he did at Michigan.
Right. Definitely has the potential to open it up a lot more than what he had at Michigan.
I think our defense is going to get better by 3 or 4 points. I think the UM defense is going to go from giving up 31 points to giving up 26.7. So almost like 3 points, a little bit more than a field goal. I think, just because of tackling.
I think that's going to come down a little bit more just because of the beginning of the bulk of their schedule in the beginning.
But listen, my issue
Texas
with that
A&M is going to be,
that's a tough game
that's gonna be
at
a
Texas
tough game.
A&M. I do think that we may lose that. I'm not going to lie. Their quarterback situation is something that we'll have to see what happens there. And we'll cover that when we get there.
Their first half of the schedule with, the exception of Texas A&M, I think is
cake.
It's exactly
right. But my problem is that you have to understand that when I do the points, I don't count Bethune-Cookman because that artificially inflates my points. Right. So no, I'm not.
Statistically, it messes with it a little bit.
Exactly. So I'm going to keep my same numbers going into even Southern Miss. I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt. Southern Miss is another, bad team. So you're looking at Texas A&M and then Middle Tennessee is a middle of the road team in the Sun Belt. They're not a great football team. So we're gonna see the first competition with Texas A&M, and then we're gonna get UNC, and then we got Virginia Tech, Duke, Virginia. All those 3 teams are all rebuilding teams, new coaching staffs, etc. We'll get right back into it with Florida State, Georgia Tech. We play at Clemson, which doesn't count for us in the division. And then we close out with Pittsburgh at home. That's why I think they have a great shot to win the Coastal. I think Pittsburgh's going to take a step back offensively.
It doesn't count for the division, but if we lose that game, it counts for the record to win that.
It does, but they can win the Coastal. If you're thinking national championship...
No, not national championship. I'm saying for the Coastal.
No, it doesn't count.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
no, it only counts division. No, only your division games in the Coastal in each side wins. Oh. When you play, when you play.
So what you're saying is it's essentially an out of conference game.
It doesn't count against. It doesn't count against you. I'm telling you, it doesn't count against you.
We have some controversy.
We can look it up, but it doesn't count against you.
Oh yeah, it does.
We have some controversy here. Now, I tend to agree with you, Coach, here because I don't think it's got to be. It may count for them like record wise overall, but I don't think it counts for them as you said
as the coastal division. Right. I don't think it counts against them.
Keep going with all your other stuff.
No, like I said, those are the 4 or 5 teams. Again, the next tier teams is Louisville. I really like Louisville a lot. I think that kid's gonna do great things.
Yeah, they're definitely a sleeper in the Atlantic Division because they may look over them. NC State may overlook them.
I'm not gonna lie to you. To me, the ACC this year is about 7 or 8 teams deep, maybe even almost 9. Syracuse is going to be a bear of a team to play. Syracuse's defense played really well last year. Their offense should step up a little bit more. North Carolina, again, that's another team that's, to me,
they went toe to toe with everybody.
Their defense is what hurts them a little bit. Offensively, they should. Again, they're losing Howell. That's why I don't have them as high up
They've
as
lost
I
a
would.
lost a lot of big hitters in the past couple of years between the two running backs that were a couple years back that came out, and then their quarterback that came out this past year.
Correct.
To me, that's rebuilding.
No, I mean, I don't say it's rebuilding just because they got the receivers coming back. But yes, losing the quarterback, it just puts you in a real bad situation. And defensively, they weren't good. They brought back Gene Chizik to be a defensive analyst and assistant. So he should be good. Let me see something here. Look, Pittsburgh lost to Clemson last year and it didn't count.
Yeah, it did.
They won.
They were 7-1 in the conference. That's it. Canes were 5-3. One of our losses was to FSU, which is in the other division. Yeah, man. It's always been like that. Always.
I'm looking. We're looking.
No.
Stats and info.
Right
We're
there,
looking
bro.
at it.
It's right here. It says 5-3 in the division. One of your losses is to FSU. That's it.
But I get what he's saying, that it shouldn't count for the division.
But it doesn't matter. If both teams were 7-1, they're tied in the conference race.
Yes, but what he's saying is that there's an ACC championship game.
But it doesn't matter. The ACC is still in your... Everybody that you play in the ACC counts as someone in the ACC. You just play everybody in your division every year, no matter what. But you do not play every other team from the other division. That's a round robin, except for one team that's a rival in every league. Y'all do the recruiting stuff. I got scheduling down. Don't worry about that.
Sounds good.
Tranquilo.
We'll see. So you have NC State coming out of the Atlantic, right? And then you have Miami coming out of the Coastal. Okay, so who do you have winning the conference? Take your homer hat off.
No, I got NC State.
Oh, you got
Yeah,
NC
you
State.
said
Oh,
I think NC State wins.
Okay.
I have them both. I
Do
took
you
two.
have them in a possibility of playing in a college football playoff? Well, they're winning the ACC. I mean,
NC State.
it's going to be a down year for the ACC if that's the case, right?
No. Why?
Would they have to go undefeated?
No, they have to go undefeated to go into the
Completely.
playoff.
They can't have one loss at all.
No.
So you're saying that the ACC champion will potentially be left out of the college football playoff.
Unless they go undefeated.
Unless they go undefeated.
Wow. Wowzers. I like it. Maybe I don't. I'm Miami homer at the end of the day. But that's a tough pill to swallow if the ACC champion doesn't get in.
The problem is you have to look at it this way. You're going to have Alabama. Okay, you're going to have Georgia. You're going to have Ohio State. Those
Right.
three guys, I mean, I am almost guaranteed will be in. Okay? You have an Oklahoma team. You have a Big 12 that has some a potential there.
But wouldn't the Big 12 teams have to be in the same boat? Like, you got to run the table, right? I mean, I think Oklahoma gets better defensively with Venables there. I think that's something that Big 12 teams in general are not used to, right? A mad scientist on defense like he is.
Again, whichever fourth team is has to be undefeated, or it could be a team. Again, I don't see NC State being able to lose a game and be able to get in.
Their
Just like I don't see
schedule's not-
Clemson losing a game and getting in. Miami might be the only one just because they would lose to Texas A&M, and that's a Texas A&M
Correct.
ends up being that number 2 team
Right, if they
in the
go-
SEC.
they mess around and beat
Miami
a
would be the only
Georgia
team that could
or a-
lose that one
Right.
and still
'Cause
run the
NC State's
table
best
in
But
team.
the
Texas A&M
ACC.
would have to be either Alabama
NC
or
State's
Georgia.
best team
or
is
Georgia.
Texas Tech. That's it. They're out of conference. They got nobody.
Right, they would
worth
have to
a
go.
damn.
They would have. That's what I said. They have
You
to
know
go
what I'm saying? The
undefeated.
reason Clemson every year is in there because they always play like a Georgia, a big team out conference. Plus, they have that. It's Clemson, and they've already been put up.
Yeah,
that
they have
high.
they have the resume to back it up.
You have a Utah or USC that could run the table, and they could
I
potentially
mean,
go.
it's
so you
Ohio
have to take a
State,
look at.
Alabama, and Georgia most likely. So,
No,
yeah,
for sure. That's
the four
my
spots the hardest.
Yes, that's my ideology. Is those 3 guys are in, and then we have to see what follows suit from there.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. I think what you were just saying with the Miami situation, I think that's the team that if they're going to drop a game and get in from the ACC, it's got to be Miami.
They would have to
But-
they would have to run the table and lose to
but
Texas
they're-
A&M.
But they're what's it called? Their destiny they're not in control of their own destiny, because that means that Texas A&M would have had to beat Georgia or Alabama in the SEC to give them that cachet.
Correct.
Right? The power, the old powers of transitive property situation there.
Correct.
So yeah, no, that's definitely interesting going into that. Something that we're gonna look forward to discussing as the season goes on.
I think the ACC this year is the best it's been in a long time, because like I said, it's deep as far as competitive teams are concerned. I really think
you'll have a lot of teams in the top 25.
And you're going to have a lot of teams that are going to finish. They're going to be bowl eligible.
Yeah.
They're going to win 6 games. And that's what I mean. When you're competitive, they're just not in the championship hunt.
And that's the thing. Exactly. You're not that elite where you separate yourselves.
Right. So, I mean, that's where we're at there.
No, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be this is something that we're going to discuss ad nauseum. I can already foresee it as the college football season rolls along.
And every few weeks you have to adjust and see who's playing better, who's played who. Again, that's where strength of schedule comes in and who you've played.
For sure.
And again, that's why some of the MAC schools, they end up playing 2 or 3 of the big boys. They get walloped. People think, oh my God, they suck. No.
Oh.
They just play.
It's also a money thing too. That's how they pay for the programs.
They played some really good teams. But it's good for them. It's great competition for them.
Over the years, that's why you see more of these upsets happening nowadays, because they've been playing this year after year, getting that kind of experience.
And that helps the recruiting, whether you think about it or not.
Of course that does.
They get those low 4s, high 3s.
Yeah.
Star players to get there. And even the transfer portal now brings those kids over.
Because if you're going to play for one of those schools, at least you know that these teams go out there and they try to play the better teams,
Correct.
Yes, sir. I think that concludes our review here. We're going to come back and we're going to discuss the whole situation with division versus conference record. Yes.
We're going to move on to MMA.
We need to correct that.
Move on.
No, we're moving on.
MMA fight.
We're moving on because it's 100%. I'm right.
I'm not saying that.
He is. He's absolutely correct.
It's a mistake.
He's absolutely correct.
But I'm not going to deal with
right.
I'm just talking about clarification.
And I'm glad that we got that. He corrected
me. And we'll be right back with some MMA talk in
Miami
segment 3.
cannot lose to Clemson.
There you go. Yeah. You heard it here first. Bye-bye. And we're back to close out the show with a little MMA talk this week. And we have UFC 277, headlined by Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes, Part 2. That first fight was a banger. And then the co-main event is Brandon Moreno and Kai Kara-France. Okay? And we can't keep out the heavyweight fight. Derek Lewis, that guy's always a trip against Sergey Pavlovich. Coach, take it away.
Well, I mean, first of all, the main event is going to be it's going to be a slobber knocker. I do think, though, that Pena might beat her again, just because once you win the first fight, losing the second one is much tougher. For some reason in the MMA, usually when someone wins the first fight, they win the second one, they win the third one. It really doesn't matter. The rematches don't go well for the loser. So I do think that Pena has a good shot of winning. She's at plus 230. So again, she's an underdog. I think it's really good that she is an underdog. You can sprinkle a little money on it and not worry about losing a whole bundle. It's always nice to be able to take the champion underdog.
No, 100%. I mean, watching that first fight, again, Nunes was a prohibitive favorite in that, but you can tell it was almost like she hadn't prepared like she had in the past for that fight. I'm not saying she didn't prepare. I'm not, because she has that dog in her. But you could see after Pena ate her best shots and
I don't think she was prepared for that. Now, okay. Now let me go. Let's go back a little bit. I don't think she was prepared for that. I think she prepared. I think she worked hard. I think she really did not overlook this challenger. But I don't think she was prepared for the ability of Pena to take her best shots.
Eat those shots.
That's my thing. I don't think she was prepared for that.
Yeah, because usually you see in past fights,
every time she hits somebody, it's over.
Right. She gives them the old 1-2, gives her best shots, and they just stop coming.
Night.
Now they're playing defense the rest of the night because it's deer in the headlights. She ate them and kept.
They don't play defense. It's night.
She ate them and kept coming forward.
Yes.
And ate them and then kept coming forward.
No, and got in some good shots herself, and then was able to get to that next round and submit her.
Listen, and watching that fight, maybe you agree with me, you disagree. Nunez looked gassed. Like, she was like, I just gave her everything I had and gassed out.
Again, she wasn't prepared for that type of fight. Okay, I think she's going to be better prepared for this one. I think it'll be a better fight. Okay, I mean, again, she is the favorite. She's almost a 3-1 favorite. But I think Pena will be up for it. I think that they're very evenly matched. Nunez is 2 inches taller, but the reach is the same. So I really think that it's going to be. I think that Pena will be smart enough to try to take her again at past second, third round, where Nunez hasn't been in a long time. Nunez just hasn't been to a fourth or fifth round in 4 years.
Do you think that this is the kind of like passing of the torch, if you will?
I really think it can be. If Pena is ever able to win, I do think it is the passing of the torch. I think that now Pena, Nunez is going to have to figure something else out, and then it's going to be Pena and the lady that was. I always forget their names.
No, listen. These names are not. These names are not easy to remember.
She's a champion. She's also a champion.
But yeah, I mean, I do think that there is a good chance of this being the passing of the torch. Pena has, risen to the challenge. It would be nice to have a rubber match as well, right? If Nunez is able to come back, I think it would make that series and that rivalry just mean even more and bring. Again, we've talked about the ascension of UFC and how it's kind of stolen a market share of the other major sports. This is prime time, especially in the women's realm, right? Like these are some of the premier athletes,
correct,
on the women's side right now,
correct,
of all sports. Right. They're the most recognized at this point of any of the major sports that we're watching today.
And again, and speaking of those women, it's Valentina Shevchenko.
There it is.
That would be the one that would step up. And I think would take Pena, and she would try to unify or get a second belt. But again, we'll see how the Lioness comes out. I do like Pena for the second fight. She's an underdog. She's a champion. And I think she still has a lot to prove. So I think that it's going to be an interesting fight.
All right, moving to the co-main event, flyweight, Brandon Moreno and Kara France. What are you thinking here?
I'll be honest with you. I do like the champion here. I like Moreno. His game has gotten so much better. He's such a tough kid. It's going to be a quick fight, though. Don't blink, because this can go in a heartbeat. They're going to go after each other. They're very evenly matched. Moreno is a little taller and has a 1 inch reach advantage. He's won his last 3 or 4 fights, if I'm not mistaken, and he's done a good job. And again, I really think Moreno wins here. I mean, he's not the winner. He lost to Figueiredo. But I think that he wins against Kara France.
Yeah, no. So that one, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know. I'm more interested in looking at what Derek Lewis is going to do to this kid in the heavyweight bout. Brandon Moreno and Kara France, I'm going to be honest with you, never really seen them fight, so I really had nothing good to add.
They're both very aggressive fighters. Kara France has won 2 out of his last 3 by knockout. He lost the last time he lost was 2 years ago. He lost by submission. So again, there's going to be a lot of feet flying all over the ring with those two guys. It should be interesting.
And you'd like to give us a diamond in the rough type of fight for this for every fight that we talk about. Is there one here on this card that,
there's two more
you're looking forward to?
There's 2 more fights here on the main card. I like Pantoja. He's a favorite of -170, but I do like him. I think he's one of the better all-around fighters. He has a 2-inch reach advantage on his opponent, and he's about a 170, 180 favorite. The next fight is one of the stables of the Russians. It is Magomed Ankalaev. He is a solid fighter. He's fighting Anthony Smith, and I really think that Smith is he's in trouble. No, he is. He really is. It's just not a good fight for him. He went up and made a nice run for a bit, but I really think that against this guy, he's gonna bite the dirt.
Yeah.
It's not a good one. It's just not a good one.
Ankalev is 17-1 versus.
Yeah, but he's a machine.
Smith.
He's another one of those machines.
Anthony Smith, long in the tooth, 36-16 is his overall record. So that guy's got a lot of wear and tear on him with that. Whereas,
Right. No, he's won his last 3 fights. He's done a good job. He's one of the better light heavies. But Ankalev, he's one of those Khabib machines. I don't see him losing or anywhere near it. You also got in the undercard Drew Dober. He's another young guy. I mean, he's not young. He's 33. He's another good fighter. He's going to fight Alves. So that's going to be an interesting fight there.
And where we looking?
And he's on the
preliminary card.
He's in the prelims. So Dober is another exciting fighter. Should be a good fight there. All the guys that I've followed, they've become really heavy favorites. Morales, in the early prelims, he's a minus 550 favorite. He's a really, really good fighter.
No relation.
No, none at all.
Zero relation.
Zero relations. So again, from top to bottom, it's a really nice card. It's a good card, and I can't wait for the main card. The main card is loaded.
Yeah, this is going to be lights out. And again, I think, and we've talked about this several times, they're just fun to watch. Even the guys that don't have any, they're not well known, prelims and in the early rounds of the main card.
By the way, tonight is the first night of the Dana Contender Series. If you want to see up-and-coming guys, if you want to take a look at some of these guys that I end up looking at and picking as it goes, this is where I go to. This is what I look at. I like to watch these fights. I like to see how they develop because they give you a nice inkling to what these guys can do and what their future looks like.
That's good stuff right there. Yeah, those are always fun. And again, you always see the diamond in the rough. Most of the time when we talk about these fights, it's always the earlier fights that end up being fights of the night because these guys are trying to make a name for themselves. So they're going bang out with their opportunities. So it's fun stuff. I think that wraps it all up for us with our UFC talk.
That's it for this week.
Just like every single time that we're here when we wrap up the show, we want to thank you guys for listening. Always remember, give us ideas, give us thoughts. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to listen to, right? We're getting into kind of our wheelhouse now with football season starting up. College and NFL is always going to dominate the show during this time period. But if you guys want to hear something else, we're more than willing to throw it in there to meet the needs of our fans. So thank you for listening. Always share, follow, like, share us on social media, okay? And again, we love the banter. So if you guys want us to talk about something, you have questions, let us know. We're going to talk about it on air. Coach?
A shout out to our sponsor, Chino Carnitas Meats.
Go get them. Delicious meats.
Come get the best sausage in town.
Whoa.
Sorry, sausages.
Sausages, meats, game. We got it all, baby girl.
It doesn't have to be a baby girl.
Sorry. 2 coaches, 1 Grizz.